Hey everybody, timwrite here. Welcome back. Today we're diving into something that's shaking up the watch world hard. A 39% tariff US government imposed on the Swiss imports. And yes, that includes wristwatches. What does this mean for brands, collectors, and prices? And how are the Swiss CEOs, analysts, and the Swiss government reacting? Stick around, because by the end you'll understand the winners, the losers, and whether you might be paying more for your dream timepiece. But first, before we get into a serious talk, on the wrist tonight, a Speedmaster 3861 that this wonderful watch community has basically got me, and I have it paired on a custom Jean Rousseau pink leather strap. First, let's give you some background. On August 1st, 2025, a Switzerland's National Day, the Trump administration announced a sweeping 39% tariff on all Swiss imports, including watches, food, machinery, pretty much everything. The logic is that US has a trade deficit with Switzerland, and it's about $39 billion. The tariff is a blunt, all-industry lever. Switzerland, being a heavily export-oriented country, has one of its key markets in the US, so this move hits especially hard. So what have the brands done so far? Well, number one, they build up stock ahead of enforcement. Before August 7th, many Swiss brands rushed to ship large amounts of inventory into the US so that the sales during the rest of the year could proceed under the old tariff regime. Number two, they increased prices. Some already announced hikes. For example, Patek Philippe is planning a 15% increase starting September 15th, and smaller brands like Moser & Co. raised prices earlier by an average of 8% and are contemplating more. And number three, retail strategies and margin shifts. Brands are evaluating whether to absorb part of the cost, whether the retailers will eat the bite, or whether the consumers will. In many cases, the cost ends up being pushed towards the buyer. But not all brands are affected equally. Let's break it down on who's most exposed. Starting out with the high-end and the prestigious brands with long wait lists still have some pricing power. Okay? Their demand is resilient. So many of them may manage to push through the price hikes without a huge drop in demand. In the mid-range and entry-level Swiss brands, they're under a lot more pressure. Their customers are more price sensitive. A 39% tariff plus existing inflation is much harder to absorb the costs. Now, brands without existing US inventory were exposed the most, especially small independents. Some are considering assembly or partial production in the US, or using US-based entities or subsidiaries to reduce the tariff hit. Also, currency and the material costs, like price of gold and the strength of Swiss franc, are adding to the squeeze. So how are the decision makers and experts responding to all of this? Well, Swiss government has sent ministers to Washington to try and negotiate, but so far with very limited concrete results. The Federation of Swiss Industry, the FHS, is super concerned, calling it a serious blow. They argued that the Swiss-made label is non-transferable. Production relocation isn't viable under the existing regulation, which requires at least 60% of production to be done in Switzerland. The CEOs and independent brands, some are blunt. Edouard Mayland of Moser & Co. said that the situation sucks and criticized Switzerland's government for being naive in its diplomacy. And finally, the analysts are warning of job losses, especially in the Jura arc. The production hubs like Geneva and Neuchâtel There's possible short-time work schemes being extended and supplier order declines. Okay, so what does this mean if you are in the US and you're planning to buy a Swiss watch or thinking about it? Well, number one, expect higher prices. Some watches have already increased in prices and many will. Even without a change in material or design, the tariff itself pushes up the retail price. So you might want to buy now, maybe. So basically, if the piece you want is in stock or selling through available authorized retailers, you might still be able to avoid paying full inflated price. But as the stock that was moved into US prior to the tariff depletes, the prices will go up. Now, when it comes for wait list and scarce pieces, it still works in the favor of prestigious brands because demand remains to be high, and many collectors, they really don't care paying more because a lot of these pieces go above retail. But it still sucks to pay more for the watches. Now, alternatively, some buyers might consider vintage or pre-owned watches or non-Swiss brands to avoid the tariff premium. Also, you could explore buying domestic US-made wristwatches whenever possible. So, what could happen next? Well, there's few options, there's few possibilities here that could happen, okay? We could have some negotiation and relief, right? If US and Switzerland reach some type of an agreement or modify the tariff levels, relief may be possible. But that's uncertain and depends a lot on political will. There could also be some structural changes, right? Brands may shift supply chains, do more in US, or reconfigure production or mitigate the impact of production. But Swiss-made regulation and costs still make full relocation unlikely. Consumers could shift their behavior. It's also a possibility. We might see a slowing in demand in some segments, more sensitivity to price, more luxury buyers focusing on fewer but higher quality pieces, and a lot of brands might go out of business because those with strong margins and strong branding and a big backlog of customers, they might see their demand actually increase, while others could possibly struggle. Now, to wrap all of this up, this 39% tariff is a major disruption. It's not about the cost, it's about how the Swiss watchmakers position themselves and how much customers are willing to pay and how governments negotiate. Okay, so if you're a collector, it might be smart to act soon before prices go up even more. If you're a watchmaker or in the industry, this is a wake-up call. If you found this video to be helpful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell icon. I'll be covering more updates as the brands respond and as we see how prices move in the coming months. So drop your thoughts in the comments. What brands do you think will be hit the hardest? And are you reconsidering buying a Swiss watch? And finally, I do live streams talking about wristwatches every single day at 5 p.m. So tune in and you can ask questions, talk to other collectors, and I'll see you there.